Hiya folks, it's Kikoskia here with a video about something that's been a long time coming with my computer. It's just had a substantial upgrade. For those that don't know, the computer that I've been doing my Let's Plays and streams on in recent times was a computer that was made in May 2018. Cav helped me pick out the parts. Cav is, as always, invaluable and indispensable when it comes to computer stuff for me. And we came up with a system setup that was designed to withstand the test of time, and I'm happy to say that for the most part it did. For those of you that want to hear all the specs, we had a Be Quiet Silent Base 300 MIDI tower case, a Be Quiet Straight Power 11 850 watt PSU, an Asus ROG Strix X470F gaming motherboard, a AMD Ryzen 7 2700X CPU. We had two 8GB sticks of Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 3000C15 RAM, an Asus GeForce GTX 1080 DirectCU 3 Strix GPU, SSDs, two of them, a Samsung 960 Pro Polaris 1TB and a Samsung 850 EVO 1TB, as well as a 10TB Seagate Barracuda Pro 7200 RPM hard drive. Also a Blu-ray/DVD combi drive, a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4 cooler, and Windows 10 Pro for the operating system. Minor problem with it was that the CPU was faulty at initial delivery, but that was replaced by warranty. And this computer ticked over just fine for an incredibly long time using two monitors, the 920 by 1080 monitor that I have here, and a 1366 by 768 monitor that has since been replaced with a monitor that my partner had, which is another 1080 monitor. Different makes of the monitors though. In 2024, August specifically, the PSU started becoming unstable. We did various tests, we tried to see if we could prolong its life, and it was clear that it was dying, and it was replaced with a newer model. No recabling required because it was a compatible model. It was replaced with a Be Quiet Straight Power 12 1000 watt. Then Cav started thinking about upgrading things for this computer, because by now it's 7 years old. It's a very old computer. It was still working very well for the most part, but it was beginning to show its age, it was beginning to creak, and more worryingly, there were things in it that needed to be replaced sooner rather than later, most notably the CPU. CPUs that are compatible with the motherboard that I'm using no longer being made, so Cav wanted to get that sorted and get things upgraded, which, as you can imagine, a terrifying thing. Replacing anything significant in a computer can cause a myriad of problems, and this is no exception. But after my birthday and after a few things, we finally sat down and we sorted out some upgrades. Then we got to thinking that while we were there, removing the massive cooler and applying new thermal paste and everything else, we had access to the RAM, so we might as well think about getting some RAM. Now, with the RAM market being what it is right now, we were never going to get up-to-date RAM, and that's good, because we didn't need up-to-date RAM. And then Cav started thinking about SSDs, because there's an extra space on the motherboard for an SSD that hadn't been filled. And we could access that while we were doing stuff with the CPU as well. And then the final consideration was the thing that we should have replaced a few years ago, actually, but didn't, and that was the graphics card. And so, I'm happy to say, they have all been installed after nearly 5 hours of poking around with the innards of my computer, removing things, applying thermal paste, and figuring out what unscrews where and everything else, and me accidentally putting black marks on my wallpaper by this table that I used to do it. And we'll never see those marks again as long as these storage things for my models remain there. We'll never see it. Try not to think about it, Kiko. Anyway, the four things that are now in the computer are as follows. The CPU has been upgraded to an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X. The RAM has been changed to 32 gigs of RAM, that is, 2 kits of two 8 gig sticks, of Corsair Vengeance LPX DDR4 3600 C16. That was bought used. We had initial problems with getting it working, but it turns out I hadn't seated the RAM properly into the slot, and now it works fine. The SSD is a crucial P3 plus 1 TB, and that is now in, and that is going to be used for Steam games that are particularly large. A dedicated Steam library install for big games, like for instance things like Baldur's Gate 3. I could just install it on there and it's absolutely fine. And lastly, the GPU is an Asus Prime GeForce RTX 5070 OC. All of this was stuff that I had no idea how I was going to be able to afford, because upgrading a computer is always an expensive thing. The PSU, when it was breaking last year, I was very fortunate that my community was able to help me in getting that bought, which I'm so incredibly appreciative of. The CPU, as well as an extra cable for the GPU that I can use instead of the one that's in there right now, are up on Throne, so they can slowly be pledged towards. If you do wish to pledge to that, by the way, you can find a link to the Throne wishlist in the description. The RAM and the SSD were incredibly generously purchased by Cav. Once again, I have to thank Cav for being incredibly awesome and fantastic. I could not have swapped all those computer parts without Cav's guidance, and I also couldn't have got to where I am with Let's Playing and streaming and everything else without him either. And the graphics card was it was done in secret. I didn't know. A group of people who watch my content made that possible. They were the ones that pulled together and bought that. I'm floored by that. I'm just totally stunned. Totally stunned. I could not believe it when Cav told me that, and I'm so... As always, I am so utterly stunned by your generosity and kindness, and both for the people that made the GPU possible, and to all of you for making what I do as a career possible. These upgrades, which so far are working absolutely fine, we did a few tests yesterday. It has already done a recording session, albeit the computer forgot my sound settings, so hopefully everything is exactly as it was before. There may be a couple of slight tweaks that need to be made over the next few weeks, but that's fine. All of this has ensured that my computer has more life to it. As it stands right now, my computer is as good as I can reasonably make it, and with the way I do content, it should have a fair few years more life. Considering that it has existed for 7 years, with only a replacement PSU, this has probably been the longest lived computer that I've ever had. But is it the same computer now? It's the Guardian of Theseus. If you replace all of the important things in it, is it still the same computer? That is a question, but it's not something I will ponder right now. All I will do is thank all of you for your continued support of my career, which is entertaining all of you. If you want to pledge to the CPU to make that possible, there's a link to the Throne wishlist in the description. And once again, I will say that I look forward to continuing to entertain all of you with the stuff I record and stream on this newly improved computer for many, many years to come, as many years as is possible. And with luck, this computer will be along for the ride for a long time to come. It was all made possible thanks to all of you, those people that pledged to the GPU, and to Cav. Seriously, you're all amazing. You really, really are. I don't have the words. I really do. I could try, but all I'd end up doing is just saying that you're all amazing and awesome and fantastic and brilliant over and over and over and over and over again. That's all that would happen. But I will say it anyway at least once. You are all absolutely fantastic and brilliant. You really are. And I'm just stunned at how awesome you all are and how you make this all a reality. And with your continued support, I'll be able to keep doing all of this, making all this stuff for as many years as I can. And hopefully that'll be so many years. We're getting close to 18 now of me Let's Playing, and after that it's just 2 years to 20 years, 2 decades of making content. I'd wonder if there was some kind of reward for that, but the reward is you enjoying my stuff. That is the reward. That's all I need. And that's pretty much it. Me talking about my computer upgrade stuff, and business will continue as usual, all going well. And if you enjoyed this video, me rambling about computer upgrades, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not. And if you are subscribed, press that bell for those notifications. And I'll catch you next time, folks. And I'll see you then. Later.